and we are joined by the Springfield girls soccer coach, Justin Kosek. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
And, we talked a little bit about this program to lead off the show. You guys have been successful for the last 2 seasons. You've only lost 3 games in 2 seasons, and you're returning, I believe, 7 letter winners from the year before. Got to feel like you can retain that success that you've had for the last handful of seasons here coming in 2021.
Yeah, we always try to build not just for the current year that we're in, but also for the future. So it's always interesting to try to manipulate and figure out who we're going to have on the team the following year to fill in the positions that we lose. And we lost a couple of really big players last year, but we have girls all summer long that have been working hard to step up. We set some team goals yesterday, and they want to continue to do what we've done for the last few years. And the girls that are coming back, both seniors and juniors, and even a couple sophomores that lettered last year, they're ready to get rolling. And we start this Friday in Niles, and we'll see how things go. But we're excited and we're ready for it.
You did lose Kylee Kosek, who is the YDSSCA, that's a mouthful, Division III Player of the Year. But we talked a little bit when we were talking, football before. Special players make the programs better even when they leave. Talk about some of the lasting impressions that Kylee left on this team to see them lead this year and to be able to take into this year and the legacy that she left at Springfield Soccer.
Yeah, I mean, she did a lot for us, but I mean, number one that people noticed was she scored a lot of goals. And we kind of came into this year not knowing how we were going to fill that spot of who was going to be our goal scorer, who we would move around. But we have really had a couple of girls step up and take the bull by the reins and just fight for that. And it took us a couple scrimmages. We did quite a few in the summer, and we struggled to score. And then in the last couple times that we've been out, we have Brianna Holt is stepping up there. We have a freshman, Sammy Schaefer, stepping up on the outside, and Emma Sanders on the other side. And then obviously we're strong on the inside, but just the work ethic and the want to score goals, and not just to win a game 2-0, but to show up and play to the point that teams fear playing us. And that's kind of what we've had the last couple of years. I don't know that fear is the right word that I would use, but when you step on the field and teams are looking at you warm up because they want to see how on or off you are before the game even starts, that's a good sign. It's been good as a coach to be able to watch that the last couple of years. And Kylie had a lot to do with that, with the mentality that she brought. And Gianna Latronica was a senior last year too, that started for 4 years, and losing her with Kylie, those are 2 big blows that we're trying to fill this year, and we'll figure it out.
Talking about filling those holes too, Coach, I'm a player coming in on my first day of practice. What do I expect from Coach Kosek, and what does a typical practice look like from you?
Well, summer, because the OHSAA allowed us to actually have full practices this summer for basically the first year. They allowed us last year, but because of COVID, everything was individual based. So since we were allowed to do that, we actually backed off our practice days this summer. We used to go like 4 or 5 days a week, pretty much all summer. And we didn't start until right at the end of June, and we went 3 days a week for a while. We went to Campfield has the Cardinal Classic. They show up the first weekend after the 4th of July. And we just tried to get a couple of days in to prepare for that before that. But our summer stuff, because we were actually allowed to have practices, it wasn't as intense as it has been in the past. We invite our younger girls in the program, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, to come and join us in the summer when they're allowed to, for June and July. So I think that kind of has our varsity girls back off just a little bit, maybe, so that they don't go as hard on them as they would our other varsity girls or JV girls. But I will tell you, to answer your question specifically, they always get all of me. It's 110% every day, and it's do it this way or do it the right way, or I'm going to let you know that we're not, and we're going to work on how to do it the right way. And then when I do see it the right way, or when my assistants see it the right way, we're going to build you up and praise you like crazy, because we want to keep seeing that. And that goes for our freshmen through seniors, and it goes for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in the summer also. We showed up on August 2nd, was Monday, the first day of mandatories that we had, and the younger girls weren't there, and that might have had something to do with it, but it was almost like somebody walked in a room and just flipped the switch on. And the 25 girls that we have on this roster were there to flat out go after each other and get better and push each other to get better. And it's been like that ever since. And if we can keep doing that and just building to get better every day and every scrimmage and every game that we have, the success that they want to experience this year, they should see a lot of those successes.
And, when we've talked to a handful of other soccer coaches in the area, and they talk about how, building the youth programs in their own school is tough. And you've brought up your 6th and 7th and 8th grade players. What kind of things does Springfield do to build and develop the youth soccer so when they get to you as freshmen, they're where they need to be development wise?
It's tough because every other sport has a junior high program and we don't. And most of the schools in the area don't. Our coaching soccer district is working hard. I know Scott and Josh are working really hard at building a youth program or a junior high program that is kind of school sponsored, but not really school affiliated per se. And it's being somewhat successful. It's hard in a smaller school to get enough kids to commit to that, to be able to continue it and keep going as much as we would want to. So from our standpoint, I work hand in hand with our rec league. It's a summer rec league, so it doesn't really interfere with any other leagues in the area. I have coached it for they didn't have it last year due to COVID, but the 3 years other than last year, I have coached it. My son was involved the 2 previous years. This year, I just coached it just to let the kids in the program get to know who I am, how I coach, those kind of things. We work hand in hand with the board of our rec league. They made some changes this year that we suggested just to get kids more on the field, more touches on the ball, more gameplay, more movement, just to help them get better because it's just a rec league. Like that's what we have. We offer foot skill classes or sessions. We go like an hour a week or an hour a session 2 times a week that we invite the younger girls to come in. We've had anywhere from 4 to 18 of our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders show up for that. So that's a successful program that we have. And other than that, it's these kids coming to our summer program and just getting to know us, getting to know the girls on the team, seeing what hard work is. When they come in as freshmen, they're not shocked. They're also not scared to come in as freshmen because they've been through it as 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So they know that, yeah, it's hard, but they can do it and they can get through it without killing themselves. And I think that's a key thing when they start and they get cross country is obviously hard because they run a lot. But when you get cross country or volleyball or even golf for the girls in the school, and it's not as much hard contact running or physical bumping into each other, slamming each other a little bit, kids get a little bit nervous. They get a little bit timid. They get a little bit scared to come out. And even the girls that do come out, we hear that from. So to build it to the point that they're comfortable enough to come out as freshmen, if we can keep somewhere between 5 and 8 girls per grade level, that's a good number for us. We'd like to get it up to the 8 per grade level. That'd be nice to have somewhere between 25 to 32 girls on the team each year consistently. We've been as low as 16, and I've been as high as 36 since I've been coaching. We usually average right around 22 or 23. So this year's up a little bit, but a lot of that is because we have 7 freshmen that most of them have been with us for the last couple of years in the summers. And that's kind of what we do to build the program. I try not to lose kids once they're in the program in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I don't want to lose them to volleyball when they go to 7th and 8th grade because it's hard to get them back. So we try to do everything we can to hold on to the kids that we do have.
You talk about success in the program and success overall, Coach, and we know talent level of girls in the sport is going to be different. That's a beautiful thing about it being a team sport. But what is your definition of success then?
We talk about individual successes and we talk about small team successes. The individual successes, the girls need to get better. They just need to get better. We set small individual goals. We set long-term goals for the season for each individual girl. And we do the same thing for team. Small, short-term team goals, long-term team goals. And if the girls are each game or each week, because we usually do it week by week, if they're accomplishing the goals that they had or coming close to it, we build them up and we talk about how successful that is. And even if they weren't somebody who necessarily got into a varsity game that night or that week, they can still at practice use their reps at practice to accomplish those goals. And if they do that, it's a big success. And then we we can move on to the next goal because that one was already met, or we can kind of keep something similar to the same goal and make it just a little more challenging to challenge them to get even better at what they were trying to get better at. So that's kind of what we talk about with successes. We don't, for the last 4 or 5 years, we have not, as a coaching staff or as a program, we haven't talked about winning games. We haven't talked about what you have to do to win games. We talk about taking care of the small things that we talk about at practice, making the good touch, getting into the right space, creating space on the field, connecting our passes, not leaving our goalie one-on-one, helping each other, supporting each other in the right positions. And then we always say that if we take care of those small things, the small things always take care of the bigger things. And then you experience the success of winning games. But we don't talk about winning games. We talk about what we have to do to be successful in the next game. And then hopefully those successes lead to the wins.
You guys do return 2 players that won first team all district in Grace Venturella and Kylie Medvec. Talk about how much you're going to lean on them and their leadership this year going forward.
Yeah, Gracie, to me, Gracie is one of, if not the top girl to watch out for in our district this year. We can play her at multiple positions, and we're going to play her at multiple positions. She controls the field up front for us. She's our attacking player, and she just kind of gets everything going. She comes back and helps support on defense too. So she is a key to our success as far as being able to score goals and outscore some teams. Kylie is kind of the exact same thing on the defensive end of the field. And she just, I mean, if you were to ask her, and I've even said it publicly, that she's not truly a defender. She's more of a holding defensive mid kind of player, but she is so important to our team on the defensive end that she plays the majority of the time there. She talks more than anybody else on our team in a positive way. She explains to people where to go. She lets you know when somebody's coming on and going to be in your space. She controls the ball back there. She drops back to help when needed. She supports our goalie. Most of our offensive runs start with her. And it was evident last year in the couple of games that she missed. We had a hard time getting going offensively because we didn't have somebody that strong in the back line to connect with our midline to get going. So it was a struggle for us. And Kylie kind of controls the whole thing back there. And then you didn't mention her, but connecting in between the two of them, Kayla Lamorticella is coming back too. She was second team all district. She's a 3-year starter for us and a 3-year letter winner. The 3 of them were actually selected as captains yesterday for our team, but Kayla is kind of that missing piece between Gracie and Kylie, and she can play some holding mid. She can play some attacking mid. Mary Grace Mason got knocked out last year with a knee injury for quite a few weeks, and Kayla immediately said, I'll go back to defense. And she played a few games at defense. She goes to outside mid. We play her up top. She's kind of our fix-all, fit in wherever we need her to fit and play the way that we need her to play. And I just complimented her the other day as to how strong she is looking in our scrimmages and just connecting with everybody. So I'm excited to see the 3 of them work together as seniors.
Talk to me a little bit too. We talked in-game playing with these players, Coach, but talk to me a little bit about chemistry-wise. What have you done to build the chemistry of this team, and what have the girls done kind of to build that bond together on the field and off the field?
This group of seniors, with last year's groups of seniors, with Kylie and Gianna and even Tori Blakeman last year, they had been together since they were in 3rd grade. So they had come all the way up playing rec and then travel together. And then most of them went to club together, which I'm blessed. I do have a lot of club kids. We split some kids between TCSC and SVA. And as a coach, I always tell them, here are your options. Do I have a preference? I may have a preference, but it doesn't matter to me as long as you're getting touches on the ball. So we are blessed that way. But that group of seniors left. This group has still played together for that long. It's been a fairly tight group all the way through. In the off season, like we said, we spend that day at Camp Field. We had quite a bit of rain this year, so we didn't get to hang out as much as we would have in the past during that day. But we also take a trip. We take a yearly trip to Columbus, and we go to a showcase in Dublin. And that got bumped this year because they were redoing their field. So we actually went to the Adidas showcase in Strongsville. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise. We were supposed to play 2 games on Friday, 3 games on Saturday, and 2 games on Sunday. And we got there Friday. We played our 2 games. We went to the hotel, hung out. had some dinner together. Girls went up to their rooms. Saturday comes, late Friday night comes, and it was a monsoon. Like, our game finished. We might have been in the cars Friday evening for 5 minutes, and it just opened up, and it was just a downpour. So Friday at it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, they canceled everything for Saturday. So I'm sitting there with my assistant coach thinking, okay, we are in the hotel with 24 girls all day tomorrow, and we were supposed to play 3 games, and now we have nothing. And I was frustrated because they didn't get the game time. But it turned out, like I said, to be a blessing in disguise, because they just got to hang out together for literally 24 hours and just get to know each other and hang out with girls that, even though they're on the same team, they usually wouldn't hang out with, get to know each other, eat meals. We had lunch, continental breakfast in the hotel. Then we had lunch brought in and dinner brought in that night. They played some games. A couple of them went swimming, to find out later in the day that they canceled the rest of the tournament. So we were going to do the same thing on Sunday. The director contacted me late Saturday night, and they ended up getting us 2 games on Sunday. But it was kind of weird. The way that we played on Friday was okay. It wasn't bad, but it didn't stand out. And then after having that whole day on Saturday hang out together, they came out on Sunday, and the first game that we played on Sunday, they played lights out. They played together. They connected everything we were trying to connect. They talked. They moved. They really bumped into the other team and started playing physical for each other and helping each other out. So we do those kind of things. We've had we had a lunch with our coaching staff and our seniors just to kind of talk about leadership and what that looks like and what they perceive that to look like, and what leadership has been, positive or negatively, in the past with our program that they've witnessed. We will have some team meals before games, after games, on the way home from games. We will just kind of meet up and hang out. We always just try to make it more than just soccer. We have a pumpkin carving not even a contest, just to get together at my house towards the end of the season. They always look forward to. We'll have a cookout or two. We get together and watch film, and we do as much as we can together. And we're looking forward to that stuff this year, because it all got canceled last year because of COVID, and it showed. So to get them all back together this year, I think that'll be a huge positive for our program again.
I mean, you talk it too, real quick. You say more than just soccer too, and I just really wanted to touch on this point too. Just tell me then too, elaborate a little bit on that, more than just soccer, and some of those things that you do try to teach these girls that are outside of the realm of soccer, and things you try to teach them that way.
Well, like we said, we don't necessarily talk about winning games. We talk about taking care of the little things, and we relate that to life. In life, if you take care of your little things that you have to deal with, the bigger things seem to work themselves out. And that's kind of the stand that we have and that we go with. I generally ask my seniors at the end of every year to tell me or discuss with us 1 or 2 things that they've learned since they've been in the program that have absolutely nothing to do with soccer. And I'm always completely shocked at some of the things that they bring up, how to deal with hard situations, how to have hard conversations, how to deal with people that outside of this sport or realm you generally wouldn't deal with because you wouldn't choose to, and how to be respectful and responsible and accountable with people that might not be your best friends, that you don't necessarily see eye to eye on everything with. And that's the kind of stuff that we work on. And I think that we work on it without telling them that we're working on it. And some of them get it earlier, but most of them, until you actually ask that question, is when you can see the light bulb go off on their head, in their eyes, and just they light up, and they just kind of realize how much more this has been over the last 3 or 4 years, however long they've been in our program, than just showing up, practicing soccer and playing soccer.
And you've been doing this for a minute. I mean, you're approaching 100 wins in your career. 82-34 is your career record. What gives you the passion for this program and the passion for the sport that keeps you coming back year in and year out?
I was that soccer dad who Kylie was, I don't know, she was in kindergarten or first grade. She wanted to play soccer. We didn't have it out here when I was growing up. We didn't even have a rec league when I was growing up. So it was a little bit of flag football, some couple weekends of a intramural basketball program, and then you had Little Tigers when you got into 5th and 6th grade. But other than that, it was our baseball program or nothing. That's all that was out here. So when she got involved in it, I was that dad who she would move up to the next year and the rec league board would say, "Oh, we need coaches. Are you interested in coaching?" And I would be the one to say, I don't know enough about that sport to coach that age group. And then they would say, "Okay, well, we're going to be short one, so we'll have to combine and this person will coach." And I'll be like, "Well, then I'll coach." And then the next year I didn't know enough to go to the next group and I ended up coaching the next group. And then the next year, and then she started club when she started at TCSC with Mo Fard. And her love for it just kept growing. So I dove in and I just learned as much from him as I possibly could. I watched as many videos. I went to as many other practices as I possibly could. I talked to coaches that knew more than I do. And I learned as much as I possibly could. And as she kept going, I knew that Bob Rohrman was the head coach out here. And I knew that within a year or two, he was not gonna want it anymore. And I didn't know anybody in the community that was going to want it or be knowledgeable enough to keep the program going. So I just kind of groomed myself for that. And when he left, I put in for it. And luckily the year before that, Jimmy Schuler hired me as an assistant basketball coach with the varsity level. And I think that got me in the door. So then I interviewed with Mark Carden and Tony DeFelice and for soccer. And I was lucky enough to get it. And I wanted it not because I wasn't sure who was going to coach the program or because I wanted to coach my own daughter. I wanted it because I knew, like I said, this group of seniors and last year's group of seniors had been together so long that I wanted there to be a good program in place when they got there. Because I think Kylie was in 6th grade when I got this. So I still had 3 more years left before I got her in that group of girls. So we built the program. First couple of years, they were rough. I kind of got in a little over my head with what my expectations were, but we figured that out after the first year and we started working on it a little bit the second year and we saw a lot of improvements. And by the third year, we didn't do well in the tournament. We won a lot of games in the regular season. And then that 4th year, I had 16 seniors, which all played since they were freshmen, and it was huge. And then we brought Kylie's group in with Kylie and Gianna and some of the other girls that played with them, along with a few sophomores and a few juniors that jumped in. But we've been rolling ever since then. And she graduated last year, and a lot of people thought I was going to be done. But I always said I don't coach because I get to coach my kid. One of the benefits to it was that I got to coach her for 4 years in 2 sports. And I'll never, ever want to trade that for anything. I loved every second of it, but I love to coach. And I have fallen in absolute love with this game. I think it's the greatest game in the world. I can't lie to you. If there's a soccer game on and a football game on, I'm watching the football game. Unless the U.S. women are playing, then Kylie and I will be sitting there watching the U.S. women's national team. But overall, just what you have to do, the expectations of it, the skill level that's involved, I put soccer above everything else in the world right now. And it's become a part of our family and a part of our lives. And that's kind of where I am with it.
And you talk about your journey and how it started with you and Kylie. Put into words on what last year meant to you and what her senior season and what being able to coach her through her senior season, watch her succeed so much, and then watch her move on. What did that mean to you, not just as a dad, but as her coach for 4 years?
It's something I'll never forget. I didn't take any of it for granted, and I owe that to my wife. Jody made sure last year, even starting her junior year, but really, really last year, she made sure that I was able to step back as a coach and just enjoy it also as a dad. And it was tough. It was hard to do both, but I forced myself to. And her and I we have conversations about soccer every day. She was like an assistant coach to me because we'd come home and I would throw some ideas at her that we were talking about as coaches, and she would give us her opinion, and I would always tell her like your opinion's not going to be like what we do, but I'm just interested to see what you think. And that's kind of what it was. I mean, watching her do what she did skill-wise on the field, she did some stuff that amazed me. She was also lucky enough to play, like I said, her freshman year, she had 16 seniors. She played with Sierra Latronica, Haley Lamorticella, Anna Olin, Anna Rothwell. We had Courtney Hughes. We had some really quality girls that year that took the pressure off of her as a freshman and just opened things up. And then last year, her senior year, to play with Kylie and Kayla and Gracie and Mary Grace, and even Ava Vecchione stepping in as a freshman, like just to be able to play with that group of girls and Brianna Holt. They've really opened things up for her and allowed her to do what she did. She wasn't kind of dependent on every single thing. We had other girls that we could get the ball to and do things. So other teams had to respect everybody. And it was a lucky situation. And it's just something that I did not take for granted. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because it's something that I'll never forget. Watching her move on to Slippery Rock now, I mean, I have no idea how or when she'll start playing as a freshman, especially with the NCAA allowing that extra year eligibility. That's going to be tough. But I'll tell you that most of her games are close enough that if I can get to them, I'm going to get to as many games as I possibly can. So whether she's playing or not, we're going to be there to support her one way or the other.
Coach, talk to me a little bit about your coaching staff and what gives you guys the edge in every matchup.
This is my fourth year, I believe, with it was Adriana Caruso. She got married last year, so now it's Adriana Sobnoski. She was my assistant for 3 years, and she is due with her first child in less than a month. So she has kind of taken a step back and taken a volunteer role this year, knowing that she wouldn't be there most of the time. But she's like my secondhand person. I mean, anything I need, she's willing to do. Even during her pregnancy, she has been phenomenal, getting to everything that she can and helping us out in any way that she can. Anna Rothwell was a first-year volunteer player last year, and I actually mentioned her earlier. She was one of those 16 seniors. She has stepped up and taken over the actual assistant coaching job this year, and she's done a phenomenal job. I'm glad she had 1 year to kind of groom to get into that spot, because it's a big job, and I depend on my assistants a lot. I talk to them. I ask questions. I really value their opinion on things. It is a very rare, very, very rare situation for me to kind of overrule their opinions. If two of the three of them have the same opinion, we kind of go with it. And then my third one is Katie Moore. She came to us from Salem. I think this is her third year with us, I believe. She's our goalie coach, and it's been huge to have an actual goalie coach when we have 2 or 3 goalies on the roster. We always have 2, but then you have those 2 or 3 extra kids that you have backup just in case anything happens that you wish never happens. But Katie has been a godsend, because, like I said, we didn't have soccer out here when I was growing up. And if there is one position that I did not learn the finer points to, it is definitely the keeper. So watching her over the last few years, I have learned a ton. Our keepers have improved drastically, and she kind of gets that back end together for us. I talked about how strong Kylie is with the defense, but Maya Ardro has been working her butt off this summer as our goalie. Caitlin Capelli comes back from last year after starting every game as another one of our goalies. So that's kind of where our coaching staff is. We gel together. We text each other nonstop. We all get along, and we just kind of enjoy hanging out with each other.
Coach, before we let you go, talk a little bit about your schedule and some games that Springfield fans should circle on your schedule to must-see matchups for Springfield soccer.
Well, this Friday against Niles, that's the start of it. And it's a weird one, because we go to Niles and we have 17 days off between our next game, due to this week being the Friday night lights before football starts. So I would say Niles is a big one. It's probably the biggest opening game we've had in my 8 years as a coach. So hopefully we get some community people out there to support and watch. Our out of conference schedule this year is the hardest one we've had since I've been here. And that's a good thing, because we need it. That'll definitely help us get ready for the tournament. Like I said, we play Niles. United is not in our conference anymore, so we play United. Sarah always does a phenomenal job of coaching them up. Obviously, they knocked us out in the tournament last year, and we weren't ready to get knocked out of the tournament. So she had a plan, and she always has a plan when she comes in to play us. We play Ursuline comes to our place this year, which will be a good one again. Roy always does a really good job with Ursuline. And then we have Salem. We haven't played Salem either for 1 or 2 years. It was always a battle with them. And I'm looking forward to renewing that one, because as many D2 schools as we can play, or even D1 schools that we can play, it just, like I said, it prepares us for the tournament. So those are the big out of league games. In our league, champion's been the other team. last year was the first year that we actually had an MVAC soccer league, just because we let in that second tier and they had soccer. So we were able to have a league champion last year. But champion definitely is the other team that we're looking out for in the league. And it's the league. It's the MVAC. We've kind of been at the top of these teams for the last couple of years. And I look for all of them to give us their absolute best game and to try to knock us off. And when you've had the seasons that we've had, you need to be prepared to get every team's best game every time you play. So I look forward to seeing the best game that 17 games can give us.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us today. Friday you guys open up, which is exciting. Good luck on that in Niles. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having us.